Jeez. Hello, everybody. Alrighty, so we're live, off to a bit of a rough start, but that's not going to stop us. So, yeah, let's close that out. Okay. So, obviously, you can sign into the portal. Sign in here, go into collaboration, group coaching, and you just click on that stuff. And I will start with that, and it should be ready to go. Okay, so that's up and running. What we're going to do today is just some basic just going over what we've learned. We're going to go back over Lighthouse, make sure that that's understood. Just go from start to finish on everything. You know, I was thinking about this. I could almost like end the class like by the end of this week, because we've already gotten all of our services connected. The environment variables, they do work. We had a bit of a problem with them yesterday or the day before, but they did work with the contacts form, and they're still working with that form. We even tested yesterday and they worked. So it's really just about learning Airtable, making sure the data types are, you know, corresponding to all the code and everything. But we're pretty much done. Pretty much have everything you need to create your own site. The rest is just polishing. It's really just polishing up what you want. Obviously, with these features, barring like the environment variable complexity, you know, you can pretty much just have Claude write stuff for you. And so if we go through the full course overview, I'll just kind of read through what we've gone through. So, and kind of tie that into this site. So what we have is we have a business setup, domain, email, and phone. So the domain name, that's going to be, you know, up here. Obviously, it's not going to be localhost. It's going to be more like, actually, let me pull that up. Let me give specific examples for each thing. I have to log in to GitHub first. Okay. Continue. So this is actually a subdomain, ramseycoach.forsell.app. This is a subdomain through Forsell. So obviously buying a domain is going to look a little bit different. You can go through Namecheap. And, you know, you can just buy a subdomain. Like I said, RPC Ohio. RPC. Oh yeah, this is actually common. I've seen this. So rpco.io. You know, that's one way to do your domain names is like rather than .com, do like, I mean, this isn't really, this looks like gibberish. I wouldn't recommend this. It's like rpco.io. That's what it looks like. But if you have like, let's say you have a name like Matt Ellis, or you want to have your domain name just Ellis. You could do ell.is, and people, that might be more recognizable. It's better with actually it's better with like an actual term. So let me just think, like web launch. I don't know if there's .ch though. That's the only thing. Weblaunch.com is $20,500. So yeah, you can really spend a lot of money. Actually, a better name would be like Finance Ohio or Finance Coach Ohio. You might see like .io there. Yeah, so here we go. That's a perfect one, and it's pretty cheap. So Finance Coach Ohio. And Ohio kind of has that thing where it's like OHIO. So it works. It works pretty well. So you can kind of cut your costs doing that rather than doing a .com. Let me just see, like Finance Ohio. That would probably be a premium. Or Finances Ohio. Oh, so actually that's like pretty cheap. That's actually just as cheap, right? I think it was only $35. Financesohio.accountants.com is even, that's surprising. Financesohio.com. Is that right? Is that really right? That doesn't seem right. I almost want to buy that. Financesohio.com. Really? .inc is more expensive. Anyway, I'm floored by that. Anyway, that's how you can buy .com or whatever. That's how you buy a domain name. Those would be domain names. These would be these would be subdomains. So just going through that, just being clear on that stuff. And why these matter for web development. So again, like domain name, buying a domain name, having a business name here, your having a website, having a business site rather than a a dot Google or at Gmail. Sorry, my goodness, my brain still needs to wake up today. Um, your business phone, all of that adds credibility, and I don't know why the SEO score isn't really affected by that. I've been testing that. It really should be affected. Um, yeah, I'm not really sure why. Sometimes you'll get, in Lighthouse, you'll get the SEO score and it'll be just fine. But let me actually test the score here. And I'll go in Google Chrome to test it. I think it tests better in there. It doesn't, not that it receives a higher score, but it's a more accurate test, I think, in Chrome because Lighthouse works off of Google Chrome. It's a Google service. So yeah, it's very good, and it really shouldn't be. The SEO and best practices should not be this good. Accessibility is also not accurate. Accessibility. So this is like the importance of testing your own site too, because Lighthouse, it's great for noticing like, hey, do you have the correct meta tags, and do you have do you have a sitemap in place? Do you have where did it go? Did I just take it out? Yeah, you can. But what's also important is doing mobile. But anyway, as I was saying, it's a surface level test. It doesn't actually know like I can't actually book anything. Like I can't book consultations. There are no because your environment variables aren't set up for that, and it's not fetching content correctly. So in a big way, it's just surface level, and it really is important to test your site manually and go through, all of the different things that you can improve upon. So here's the mobile, and so what you'll see is it's a little bit lower, and I think it's this picture. It's saying the picture is a little bit too big. And so what we can do is we can actually just copy all of this and say even the score. I'll just do the score as well. And we can feed this right into which one am I using? Am I using port 3001? I should maybe go over these two. But just to review where the Lighthouse scoring was, you can go into here and into this little 3-dot thing. Go all the way down to more tools, and it is developer tools. So this little brackets icon, and then you'll see it's actually in here in this little double thing, but since I already used it, it goes directly to it. Here's where our console is. Server responds. So actually, that's probably a good idea to show the differences. So this will give you your errors because we're in our testing, our local test, npm run dev. This will give you these testings, and you can click things, and it should populate. Yeah. So error fetching available slots not configured, right? And so you can work while you're doing that. So this is really important to recognize, and you can copy all of this stuff and feed it into Claude. You can copy this and feed it in. You can copy it like that. There are all kinds of ways to copy these errors. Actually, you know, I don't actually know if all of this is copied. If you do this, so if I copy this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to run Claude. So remember, you can type, you can push the up arrow key, and it will remember the last commands that you had. You can go down, you can go up. So I'm going to start Claude right there. And I'll copy this. I really do wonder, like, if it's the whole message. I actually don't know. I think it is. It should be. But let me just test and see if I go over there. Let me do a little comma. It might not be. But you can copy these errors. I already know what the error is, so I'm not going to run this. But the more context you give Claude, the better. And you can copy the errors that are in even this terminal right here. This should be canceled as well. And we can delete all these ports as well. So these aren't in use. I don't really know what this one's going to, but you want to at least delete the ones that are not in use. So it says, like, it has a, just a hollow dot. That means they're not in use. So you at least want to delete those. And I can even delete 3001 because we just got rid of that. I want to keep localhost 3000 open for testing. And we can go back in our terminal and we can test again. Go back into our testing, and this time it's localhost 3000, so that's good. And you can just control and then left click if it's not popping up that little window. So anyway, we have, again, the reason why we have our business stuff is really just for first impressions. Apparently it doesn't go into a Lighthouse score. I'm sure it would go into other scores. I think Lighthouse is great because it's free and it's right on your console, but you can go into other scoring sites. So there's seoptimer.com. This one is like way more comprehensive, and you can do a premium, you can just do a trial. And let me actually do that. Let's see if this will analyze it. it's probably going to be pretty bad. Page could be better. So there's all kinds of like different stuff. Yeah, so apparently like it's pretty good according to all this stuff, which kind of just goes to show you like nothing actually works in terms of like the environment variable stuff, but it's still saying great SEO. The links, I can't remember what the links, if the links are about, no, see the links are not about usability. Usability is like, does the button work? Performance, not the best. That's probably taken into account mobile. But the big thing is like it doesn't have any backlinks. That's why it gives it an F. And you can't just put backlinks on your website. Those come with time. Backlinks are like when other sites reference your site. So yeah, the backlinks are going to be 0. I don't have any references pointing to my site. Social, I don't even know why it gives it a C for social. I don't have anything, I don't have anything there. It might be looking at like these and thinking they actually work, but they're nothing. They're just home links. So even like more comprehensive scoring, it's not really gonna catch everything. So super important to actually go through and test this stuff yourself. Catching all those errors, going through your Lighthouse score is really just kind of the first step. But like I said, we'll run this again and then actually feed it into Claude. I think I'm running very, very low on tokens, so it might like it might just stop us from. So it actually loaded faster this time as well. I think it's because we did mobile, right? I think it's because of the cache memory. So the more you do this too, the quicker it will load. Just because of the cache memory, it'll just be like, oh yeah, remember you loaded this page before. Some of that is going to be stored in cache memory, which is going to give you a faster page load speed, which is always good to set up. Because if you have returning users who come onto your site, always good to have cache memory in place in your site. And I'm pretty sure Claude does that for you. So you don't really have to, consciously say, add like a caching layer so that returning users can experience faster loading times. You don't really have to do any of that. So I'll try to like just put this error in there. Prove for mobile and see what Claude does. Right, so main opportunities. Right. Understand which application this is. can't remember. Actually, I think I screwed up the GitHub. I think I tried to manually do stuff here. So what I'm actually gonna do, yeah, I have like 99% of my tokens used for this week. And it resets in 12 hours. So not very soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear up these git commands first. So can you make the I did a checkout command, and now I just want to have the, you know, the versioning up to date. Yeah, okay, so I can just, so this is where Claude is great. You can just, if you screw something up in the git commands, it can just show you what to do. Push your local commit. So remember, push is like it's saving it to GitHub. Okay, and then reset to origin main is like, yeah, I want to discard what I did before. So I think I'll just select number 1. It really doesn't matter. Oh, look at that. And it even, what was great about this is it even recommended to clear the example page. So what I was trying to do is I was trying to get Claude code in I think I can actually show you this. Yeah, so I was trying to get this Claude to be able to read the environment variables, and for some reason it couldn't. I think it was something to do with how I had my website set, and so I screwed up my environment variables section even worse than I did before. And this is even, so notice how it's not changing this. This is fine to have. This is your public base ID. So that's like very, very low security issue, even though it's an environment variable. But this is what it's like. No, you want to protect this. So, and this is my dot example, and so I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So we proceed. Versioning is now clean. And yeah. So we just copy that one. I don't know if that'll show up. No, okay. here's my actual local. And so that's now clean. The commits, the git versioning is clean. So now you'll notice like this is a nice clean structure. Very good. And now we can go back to that and just keep reviewing what we've learned. Development environments. So obviously we've installed VS Code. These are, I would say, probably the most important thing to remember is maybe like the layouts. Make sure you have WSL running here. Because the layouts, like, I actually closed out of my layouts. Like sometimes you'll be like, oh wait, how do I get that back? And you'll be like, wait, is it like one of these? And so you can actually, you can toggle this stuff. You can create your own layout. I've always liked this. Just, I don't know what it is about reading left to right in a longer way, but that's just me. You know, opening your files. You're not really going to touch this stuff a whole lot. I never really did. Like, it's just, I don't know, selection. Appearance. You might want to change this just based on your preferences, but could maybe zoom in a little bit, make that bigger. I could have done that, you know, for this video. It's probably very small to everybody. So I apologize about that. Now everything's a little bit easier to see. Yeah, there's not really like a whole lot you need to know. It's just like, as a basic developer, it's not like, you know, I've never really used any of this stuff either. Mostly just like looking at your file structure is good practice. So you go into this thing, right? And then you can close that out. If you double click any of these, it'll collapse it. So, and just knowing, okay, this is the structure, you know, this is my Claude settings. And you can look up, you can ask Claude, hey, create Claude, you know, create good Claude settings for this project. And it can do that for you. Let's see. So I'm going to even do that in here. So this is Claude code. It's like I guess it's like a server. And they're giving this for free. Well, not, they're giving you 250 credits for this. And so you can run this in order to save tokens. It's not available forever. It's until November 3rd, so it's not very long. But this is kind of a beta testing of their server, I guess. But you can ask Claude, like, create Claude, or let's see, .claude settings for this project. They're optimal to, you know, this particular structure. And so it'll create another project or session. This is a session. And you just got to connect to your GitHub, and it'll grab your repository and kind of go through it. And this will save me tokens doing this. And you can also save tokens by switching your switching the model. But we'll just let it do that and see what it does there. So WSL, Node.js, Git, Claude CLI, all your extensions, terminology to communicate with Claude. Obviously important to know, header, section, section, section. Just knowing like this is a card or a component. Buttons, navigation links. So those are the main things. That's my contact page. It's also in the navigation link, so contact page, highlight that, /contact. That way Claude will know where you're trying to modify or update. Working with images. So image formats. Here's the image format reference. They reside in public. Images. You got your PNG or SVG for smaller, and then JPG for larger. And for your environment variables too, your basically like, I don't know if I shared this analogy with you, but Airtable with its database API is kind of like, it's like you going into a restaurant and telling the waiter what you need, right? And then the waiter goes and gets, you have a request for, hey, get me this, and then the user brings, or the waiter brings back whatever you requested. That's kind of what an Airtable API is kind of like, your database API. And so it can store things in the back. It's actually like the database API is a little bit different than just an API, because you're storing things as well as it coming back to you with what you've ordered. But basically it's like putting in a request, and you can store things, and then it'll take things out for you, and it's very useful. But a lot of people use that waiter analogy for what an API is. And so like that's the big thing that you want to make sure you get down, is like especially the contact form. because even like the testimonial stuff, I'll have to fix that. That actually didn't work. Okay, yeah, this doesn't work either. So the home button works, but when you're in contact, these should go directly to home and then go down. So, yep, more testing. Testing is needed. But anyway, the what I was saying was the testimonial section, you can actually hard code that. You don't have to put that in to Airtable, but it's kind of convenient. And you can hard code the first one so that it loads quicker. But the next ones you can have, pre-rendered or a delayed load, so that when your client comes onto the page, he or she will see the first testimonial hard coded. Right? You go in your code and actually hard code it. You do it in here. That's what I mean by hard coding. And then you can utilize Airtable to store the other testimonials so that you can actually go through and load new ones. But the biggest thing is like having your booking, your consultations working. And your contact form as well. So yeah, the other thing that's nice to have is these privacy policy terms of services. Those are all very important to have, especially with a website. Whenever you're storing data, privacy policy, it's like, we're not going to contact you, we're not going to sell your data. Or if you are, you gotta make that known. So basically just testing and polishing, that's the testing and polishing is probably, it's one of the more tedious things. And so I don't really know if I'll go really in depth into that. I think that's, this was kind of a little bit of that. It's like a little bit of testing what works, what doesn't work, going into different, SEO or testing sites. I mean, the rest is just like, that's all of the course basically. It's just like, it's these, it's just the complete site: navigation, content, images, everything connected, comprehensive testing, forms, links, mobile. Mobile is always tricky. It's always hard to get 100 score on mobile, just because things are a little bit more complicated there. It's harder to use some of the stuff. Making sure your site works across different browsers. So that's the other thing we should probably do, is test it, is like go through and just at least take a look at it on like Internet Explorer, common web browsers, and just seeing like, you know, how it works. But I think Claude, you know, Claude does most of that stuff pretty well. I think the biggest things are like your main desktop and then mobile. The mobile is, if you can get mobile right, chances are everything else will be fine. Because even I use Brave web browser, and that's not like, not everybody uses that. So the fact that it can work on an obscure browser like Brave is a good sign. Yeah, I mean the rest is just like refinement. It's design refinement. If you're like, I don't like these, I actually really like these colors. I think this is a very good website. I don't know if any of you think like it's cheesy or whatever. I think it's great. I think it's like it pops really well. I mean, Claude did, I think, you know, a pretty good job here for an AI not being able to see like colors and stuff. It's like it's all very readable, at least from my perspective. I don't know if it's harder to read from like a video uh, perspective where it's like a little bit more grainy, but you know, SEO basics, so like meta tags, alternate text. So Claude does all of that stuff too, like alternate text, which means if you have if you have like an image that doesn't display, it will display the text in place of it, which you really, it's like, it's kind of cheesy there. Like that doesn't, to me, like that doesn't really help. Like alternate text, if I mean, your pictures should, your images should work. They should load. I mean, if there's some reason why your image isn't loading, like an alternate text is not really going to save you from having a bad first impression. So you just want to make sure you test everything. You know, finally, it's like the Vercel connection. I gotta find where my Vercel tab is. I guess I closed it. I wonder if my like analytics have gone up. Not sure. But normally, like if you have your analytics set up, this is what you should get. So visitors, page views. It looks like I have a lot of page views, but that could be me visiting the page over and over. It's also people people in other countries. I just don't know if there are bots coming into here, and but it's really helpful to see where you're getting your visitors from. And so this is what you should see if you have your analytics set up correctly. And you can go through where is everything coming from? google.com. You can see what type of device your user is using. So you can kind of see, like, here's the other thing, you know, how many people are using different browsers to view this stuff. And so the most users that you get, you're going to want to make sure your website works on these. So Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Safari, all of that stuff is really pretty important to look at. It's not just like, oh, look, I have a bunch of video visitors, cool. You know, it's actually like you can actually tailor kind of your content toward where you're getting the most users from. So, super good to know. Bounce rate. I actually don't know what really the significance of a bounce rate is. So I'm actually gonna look at that. I'm actually gonna just ask Claude, what's the significance of a bounce rate for a website? Is there a way to improve that? I think like bounce rate is when users get either they just they don't take any action. So like it's not like they can't get in. It's like they go in and then they're like, you know what? That's not really my thing. I'm not interested. And so you can kind of look at like you kind of think through like why did somebody click on my site and then decide not a good fit, right? If you know, and you can kind of read this stuff. You can just type in this exact prompt and just do it for yourself and just kind of explore like what's the bounce rate? How do I improve that? Or if you don't have, you know, going through your analytics and actually asking like what's the significance of this? Improve page speed, so that's one thing. So it's telling you ways to improve it. Value proposition clear. You know, so that's a big thing. It's like, you know, that's why I think testimonials are so important. It's because it's like it just shows people I've helped others, right? That lowers the bounce rate, I think, significantly. When you can show testimonials, it's like, okay, like this person has helped other people, right? You don't go into, you know, how many people want to go into a surgery where the surgeon hasn't done many surgeries before? It's like you might want that surgeon to pay you. It's like for the experience. So that's a big thing, I think. So having like just maybe like a simple summary in the beginning, right? It's like it's not long. It's just kind of like, and then you have a button for if you want to learn more, right? My story is like bigger, but it still doesn't take away from the main page, right? It doesn't get you on another page and try to make them click on something else. It's like, no, this is just something extra. The point of this is it's really just to close out of it and look through down here. So that'll I think help your bounce rate. You know, obviously this kind of drags you down here, but anyway, it's 8 o'clock. You know, that was just the overview. This is just like we're basically done with the course. I will probably just, you know, I'll go through the last days maybe, once I get the tokens to use more, because I'm actually 100% used up on tokens for Claude. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you. And maybe tomorrow I'll go over like how you can conserve your tokens a little bit, but I don't really think you'll need a ton of tokens because you're only creating a single website. You're not creating websites, you know, for your business. So it really shouldn't be, you really should be fine with just like 20 bucks a month until you're like done with your site. But anyway, it's 8 o'clock. Thank you for everyone who showed up. If anybody showed up at all, I'll check the messages actually. I haven't done that yet. There's only one participant, which is me, so nobody asked anything. So that's good. I'll leave the conference there. Oh, sorry. Putting up kind of not public information there. But let's close in prayer, and you can have the rest of the day. All right, dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for everything you've given us. Just thank you that this can be a lot of fun. Hopefully, it's I just pray that you would help everybody to learn, including me. I'm probably learning more than anybody here who's tuning in. And I thank you for that. I thank you that you give us the ability to learn. And in your name I pray, amen. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.